Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Joining Me Today podcast featuring me, Bailey Lewis Smith, a guy who fell in love with a girl. Oh. You know what? I had no idea how that joke was going to land, and I still don't know how it landed. So, anyway, welcome back to another episode of the show. And today I've got another fantastic guest. Of course, it's a fantastic guest. It's my podcast. But before we get started, it is song recommendation time. And today I'm going to be recommending, I said them on the previous show, I referenced them, and I really wanted to do this song recommendation last episode, but it was the music awards for the show. So obviously that replaces the song recommendation because I'm like talking about hundreds of them on the show and stuff. The song recommendation is going to be Smile by Wolf Alice, a fantastic indie rock song from the Dirty Hit Records house of the 1975. Yes, I'm talking about the 1975 now because I love them and I have to when I can. Ellie is literally and stuff one of the top female indie artists out there and stuff of Wolf Alice. And the vibe of the song and stuff kind of heavy and softness sort of mixed together and stuff. The vibe and stuff like that from Ellie in the song is fantastic. And one of those songs, it's got one of those brilliant build-ups to a chorus and stuff like that sort of first verse, second verse, then into the chorus, which suits brilliantly. Song being about assumptions and all that sort of that building up of that frustration, all that boom, straight into the chorus. Absolutely fantastic. So you guys should definitely go check it out. But anyway, into the interview portion of the show. We've already had a bit of a laugh on here already and stuff. She's already introduced herself, showed her face and all that. Welcome to the show. One of the top indie acts coming out of actually local scene kind of to me in Essex actually. And stuff. Welcome Izzy, aka Generation Feral. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. We've been wrestling with Zoom for the past 45 minutes. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, honestly.
Oh,
Yeah, completely sorry to cut off, but completely agree with the Wolf Alice recommendation. I love that band. Great band. Seen them live a couple of times.
oh,
But
why? I want to see them live, but I haven't. I'm so jealous.
yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like they've had quite a change in sound from like their early stuff to their more recent stuff, but I'm so into it. Sometimes bands do that and I'm like, oh God, are they gonna go disco? But no, I think it really suits them. I think it really suits them. And yeah, front woman is amazing. She's so talented.
Well, I found it really interesting, sort of on that note, like Visions of a Life, their second album. Like literally, if you
Mm.
take, so you've got oh god, I'm trying to remember the order off the top of my head. I can't remember the order the song's going, but I remember it's Don't Delete the Kisses, Yuck Fu, and
Yeah.
Beautifully Unconventional. Those three songs are put together in the album one, two, three, and they've all got a different sound, and they're all amazing. And barely anybody
Yeah,
does that. Like it's crazy.
no. I love that. I love that. I love it when you go and see an artist live and it's a bit like Whiplash. I love it because I don't know. I have quite a short attention span and I love it when there's just like a bit of everything. It like when artists don't pigeonhole themselves into one genre and they kind of like pull from all different areas. I'm so into that.
Yeah. Well, sort of on that note, talking about artists you like and all that and stuff, I like to do
Hmm.
guest song recommendations. And so we spoke a little
Yeah,
bit about it before we got started. So what would your
of
song
course.
recommendation be out there?
Oh, am I allowed to do two?
Yeah, go on, do too. That's fine.
Okay.
No rules here.
Right now, I'm in a very questionable time of listening to music. On one hand, I'm loving really dirty, hard hip hop, and on the other hand, I'm loving my sad like camp country music, and I keep listening. I keep flitting between the two. So one artist that I'm like obsessed with right now, and I haven't been this obsessed with an artist in a long time, is C Matt. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I think I
Um,
have. Yeah, I think she won something recently. I think I saw some other artists I
yeah,
like nominated, or I saw her somewhere. Yeah.
she's criminally underrated. She's starting to get some recognition now, which is so good. She's Irish, and she's like, oh my god, got the most incredible, like unanimously amazing, almost Kate Bush voice, like really pitch perfect. One of those voices that's like, oh my god, like everybody agrees that it's an amazing voice. But she's absolutely feral. like like I was working a festival in summer, and I went on a whim because I knew one of her songs. I went to go and see her because I had a free moment, and it's the best person I saw last year. She does this kind of country indie pop kind of vibe, but it's amazing. And her lyrics, I'm such a sucker for lyrics, and her lyrics are incredible. She's got a song called, oh, I'm trying to think because I love the whole album, but probably, oh, what's my favorite? She's got a song on, the last song on her most recent album is called Have Fun by CMAT, and it's giving like a Dolly Parton type beat. There's like, I don't know, it's very piano focused. I'm a pianist, so anything that's like piano focused I really like, but kind of funky. And it's, yeah, the album's a breakup album, and it's the last song on the breakup album, and it's all about how when you're like, I don't know, the whole album is about trying to get over someone, and the last song is like, actually I don't really care anymore, and it's such a freeing great moment at the end of the album. So yeah, I love that song. I won't do another one because I talked about that one for ages, but yeah, Have Fun would be my choice.
Oh yeah, that is like a really, really good choice and stuff. I've had so many good choices on this show and stuff. It's so nice that well actually you was a recommendation previously by Johnny from Pet Needs, funny enough, your political sort of climate song. So you're recommending a song.
Oh, bless
You're kind of
him.
putting yourself along those people. So you're a part of an esteemed group there.
No, bless him. No, I love the Pet Needs boys so much. They're all so lovely, bless them. Like, obviously, we're from the same town, so it's so amazing to see like people from Essex, from our little town in Essex, like doing such massive things. Like, honestly, they're such a talented lot. So yeah.
Sort of on that note and stuff like that then and stuff, like sort of how did you sort of come to meet the boys and stuff like that? Sort of when did you start working together? Because I believe you toured with them a little bit, haven't you?
I've supported them on a couple of their dates. Um, but yeah, so basically, I'm based between Essex and Cardiff. But I was born in Essex. We got to love it, Gemma Collins land, and and yeah, I was playing in a pub round there in September, I think, and Johnny happened to be there, frontman of Pet Needs. And yeah, he really resonated with my stuff, which was really, really kind of him. And since then, they've been so kind to me, like giving me quite a few opportunities, which I'm like endlessly grateful for. I'm really about that. I'm really about local music. I mean, they're not so much local anymore, but I'm really about like community in local music because I think there's sometimes a temptation to turn it into a bit of a competition. And I'm all about supporting each other, and it's so kind. Like the amount of support they've given me has been lovely. So I'm so grateful for them.
Oh yeah, and it's sort of nice to hear you stuff you say about sorry, I've just got to say my lips are like mega dry at the moment and it's really annoying me. It's like it's
It's all right.
literally it's happened for like half of my episodes and stuff like that. It's the worst. I don't know
You
why,
know
but
what? Get yourself some Vaseline or something. You know,
Vaseline,
like it's
sponsor the
worth it.
podcast.
It's worth the pound. It's worth the pound. No, it's not been my week either. I've spent the last 3 days trying to defrost my freezer. I've literally felt like an Arctic, like some kind of traveler. I've been just stabbing at it with a knife. And just like
This is the
chunks
secret
of
life of
them.
indie artists, guys. You
Isn't
think
it?
they're
Isn't
partying?
it?
No, they're defrosting their freezer.
Isn't it? Um, Honestly, the amount of ice that came out of that freezer could sink the Titanic. I think because my house is so cold that the ice just isn't melting, so it's just so thick. Anyway, yeah.
So anyway, back to music. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really nice to hear you say about sort of liking local music and the local scene, and sort of because
Mhm.
you're sort of you and sort of Johnny and all that. You're near my way. I'm from Clacton and stuff, like obviously near
Oh, I love
Colchester.
that.
So it's nice to hear about sort of music in sort of Essex local music. So what was it like sort of because you're in like Wales now, aren't you, and stuff. But what was it like when you were
Yeah.
back in Essex music wise?
Honestly, I have so much love for the Colchester scene. Like, for a town that really, it's a kind of average sized town. Oh, it's a city now. Sorry, but like, the amount of talent that's coming out of it. The one thing we're blessed with in Colchester is venues. We have some really lovely and brilliant venues. But yeah, the Colchester scene is thriving. Like, I love the Colchester scene. What was a bit there's so many brilliant artists there. There's a lot of, I feel like Essex is becoming a bit of a home for punk right now as well, especially with the Meths obviously coming out of Essex. You've got Pet Needs, which are on that punk kind of level as well. And even like, yeah, like I feel like it's becoming quite loud, Essex, which is nice. The one big change I noticed when I came to Cardiff is there's just that many more people. And there's just so much, like, it's like Colchester times 10. Like, there's a funk band, there's a rap band, there's like any kind of music there is, but what we have got in Colchester is lovely, and everyone is so nice as well. Like, the scene is beautiful. I really, really love it. It's one of my favorite things about coming home.
Hmm. It's actually quite funny to think and stuff. Yeah, like you saying and stuff. Oh, it's becoming a bit of a home for punk and all that. That's sort of like
Yeah.
quite interesting. Like for me, I like that fact because I do feel like sometimes because I believe Wireless is one of our nearest festivals, and then you've got Latitude sort of in Suffolk.
Yeah.
And like respect to those festivals and all that, you know what I mean? They're awesome, but they don't
Mm.
as much suit like what I'm interested in. So it's nice to think
Yeah.
that near me is more that kind of scene. I'm not
Yeah.
100% punk, but it's a bit more of a heavier sound, and I like a bit more of that. I'm not as into dance stuff really, or sort of
No,
rap
no, no.
all that. So it's nice to sort of like hear that and stuff. But yourself and stuff, bit of a different music style though. You're a bit
Mhm.
more on that kind of indie kind of sort of pop sort of style, whatever and
Yeah.
stuff. What sort of made you want to go with your sound? You've got that. I know you call yourself like a sad piano lady and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, see, my whole thing right now, I see myself as fully a little caterpillar in my music journey. You know what I mean? Like, that was cringy. That was a bad metaphor. But like, what I mean is, I'm like so fine right now with not having so much of a sound. I think there's so much temptation when you're starting out. Like when I made my first EP, I was like, right, it's got to be my sound. This is what I need to have, a trademark sound that I sound like. And actually, that took a lot of the creativity away from me. I think I was so determined to try and, like, I don't know, like be like, this is Generation Feral, that then I felt like I was shutting other doors. So actually, right now, I'm kind of experimenting with a lot of different sounds. Like, I love punk music. Like, I'm big on the whole post punk thing that's going on right now. Bands like Idols, Yard Act, all of them. Love all of those. And I think I have a lot of the themes of punk in my music, and a lot of the lyrics are on that kind of, um, like, I don't know, what you expect punk to be writing about. I write a lot about social issues. I write a lot about uh, the government, and what it's like to live in Britain right now, but without as much of the noise. I think that's the kind of vein. I think it's like, I don't know, kind of like piano kind of punk, but then there's soft moments as well of spoken word. Um, I hate the question whenever I apply for anything, or like I'm just like, I don't know, trying to get gigs or anything. They always ask me what's your genre, and it's just like, that's the dreaded question because it's like, yeah, bit of piano, bit of spoken word, indie, alternative, maybe a little bit of punk, whatever. I struggle. I need one word. I don't have one word, but yeah, that's the vein. Sorry, I'm not good at giving short answers, am I?
No, no. Hey, this is what this podcast is all about: is giving long answers. It'd be really awkward if you just went, nope, yep, and that was it. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, how do I? That'd be awkward. So I've got to ask this as a massive fan of them. You mentioned Yard Act already, and I've got to know
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of them? Because they're so amazing, and I never ever get to talk about them.
Do you know that the Overload, that album, how did I first hear of them? I think I first heard of them when they did 100% Endurance with Elton John.
Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah. And I was like, how the hell have they got Elton John on a post-punk track? Like, I just think Elton John seems like such a geezer to just like, yeah, there it is, there it is.
I had to show off the
There,
vinyl.
yeah, for real. Yeah, he's such a geezer because I just feel like he's so open-minded and jumps onto things. But anyway, I love Talking Heads. They're one of my favorite bands, and I also love like spoken word, and I love, I think punk these days looks like people, it's hard to describe, but I think for me they encapsulate what punk is at the moment. And I see so much Talking Heads in their beats and like their instrumentals, and also like his lyrics are amazing. The Overload, I played no other album for like 2 months probably. It's a brilliant album. It's so up my street. Yeah, I love them. I think they're great. That would be a dream support slot for me.
I like and stuff like that when I get to talk about them because like they are like really. It's funny. I feel like they're both sort of they like people talk about them. They're out there. There's loads of articles and all that been written about them, but I don't think enough people are
Yeah,
like realizing like how good they are. Like you said, they encapsulate what sort of modern punk is. It's a bit more about kind of I think of people like them, the Raytons, and sort of people like that who are they're bringing this
yeah,
kind of um they'll reference like just modern normal life. It's not like, yeah, the government can go, get
yeah,
a punch in the
exactly.
face. It's that more
Yeah,
it's grounded in a way, and but it's still got that punk sort of sharp edgedness to it. It's a bit kind of like
definitely.
pop punk, but like a modern punk, British mostly as well. I kind of get
Post
what you
punk.
mean.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm such a head for lyrics as well. Like I am somebody who listens to the lyrics. Like if a song has got good lyrics, but the music isn't so great, I will still think it's a great song. I read into lyrics a lot, and that's one thing I think that band has down. Like their lyrics are amazing. Um, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I think like punk is less about screw the government and more about now let's just talk about our real life stuff that goes on, but in a very accessible way. I think it's a lot more personal now. It's a lot more like, look, this is the stuff I deal with every day as a person living in this country, and it's a lot more personal and emotional, rather than being so outward with it and being like, oh, this person is rubbish. This person, you know what I mean? It's now more like yeah, this is my emotional experience of living in this country. That's what I get from them anyway. But yeah, I think they're brilliant.
I think of when I think of that, I think of like for instance in the actual Overload song and stuff at the beginning of the first album. I think about it's that line
Yeah.
sort of where he's saying about performing in a sort of a pub and stuff, and the guy's like sort of like, oh, sort of, yeah, you can
Oh
perform here, but the
yeah,
actual message behind it is saying, yeah, this is sort of suburban Britain. Yeah, you can perform your songs. We only want covers. Don't do any of your political stuff.
yeah,
Don't
yeah, yeah, yeah,
don't put
yeah.
the message out
And if you
there.
don't cross me, you find them actually pretty nice. Like, no, but it's true. I think definitely there's that massive fear of the unknown. Like, honestly, um, yeah, definitely as an artist, I could talk about that for ages about places wanting to just like people like hearing what they know. Um, and yeah, no, I think they have it down to a T. I think that they're an amazing band.
You've already said about sort of writing and your love of writing, and I feel like something that's sort of
Mm.
great about what I listened at, like with your EP and stuff, Life Looks Best Sideways, is that the
Yeah.
writing on it is just it is phenomenal, and I'm not even
Oh,
exaggerating. Like it
so
really is great and
so
stuff. What was your process sort of going into the writing of that album?
um, firstly, that is so kind. Bless your heart. So I think because this is my first EP, I just wanted to put out what I have, like the songs I'd written. So I didn't write it so much as a concept, but each song, yeah, definitely each song had a very different process going into it. Um, my normal way of writing, and it sounds really cliche, but I find like reading helps me a lot with my writing. So I love like I'm pretentious, but I love poetry and I love Sally Rooney's books. And I love to like sit with a book that has like a particularly good bit in it, even if I've read it loads of times. Like even if I've read the same passage like loads of times, and like from that I'll read something and then it will give me an idea, and like from that I'll pick out themes, and then I'll just like word splurge on a page, and there'll be in like 3 pages of rubbish that I've written, there'll be one line where I'm like, that's something. So that's how I wrote Newborn Adult. That was originally like a big word splurge, which is my spoken word track on that record. But I like songs that are kind of, how do I put it, on unorthodox topics. I like writing on topics that people might not normally write about. So I was trying to do more about that on this record. Like obviously I've got the song about the cost of living. And yeah, so I'm hopefully moving more towards that with my next project. But yeah, that was kind of the process.
A lot of people say that though. It's you hear so many artists will say, "Oh, I wrote 50 songs and only 10 made it sort of onto the album and stuff." And I always find that sort of so like interesting, because I know it'd be totally different to how I do things. I'm the sort of person where
Yeah,
I'll be like, "I've written it now, those are the lyrics." Like
yeah,
I'm not having it be unreleased. I'm releasing it, even if it sounds like a trash can
yeah,
being kicked. It's
yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, I'm not one of these people that I wish I was. I'm not one of these people that can churn songs out. At my heart, I'm a bit of a manic perfectionist, and I'm my own worst enemy. Um, but yeah, no, if I've put the effort into making the song, it's coming out, even if it's uh, you know, an absolute shambles. It's coming out, definitely.
You could do an unreleased like demos EP, make it a special edition vinyl, £100 or something.
Exactly. 100%, exactly. I've got a song about the megabus actually. Uh, so as much as my own project, like Generation Prepare, was very serious, I come up with loads of silly little stupid ideas for songs all the time. So in the future, maybe I'm just gonna release an absolute like taking the Mickey EP, like just because I've just got so many songs about random, irrelevant stuff. Yeah, like the megabus. What what else have I got songs about? I've got songs about everything. But yeah, no, it's a lot. I thought at some point, me and my friend were writing a song about IBS the other day. I think that's that could be one for
It's quite
the
funny
old
that when I sort of heard that, I instantly thought of. Have you ever heard of an artist called Lauren Hibbard?
no.
Oh, because literally and stuff like that, she's like a big part of her brand. Like she does all like kind of like indie kind of rock stuff, like kind of a bit punk sort of stuff. And like she
Yeah.
literally has a whole joke about like I think her Twitter bio is something like you can like be a singer and still have IBS, and it straight away just made me think of
Yeah,
that.
it's that's true. I like yeah, no. I'm all for like not taking yourself so seriously. I think like music, especially when you have so much passion for it, and it's like I don't know, it's what you really really love in this life. Like music is what I really really love. I think it's so easy, especially when you're at the local level, to take yourself so seriously and really be your own worst enemy and really beat yourself up and be like, I did this wrong after that performance, oh, I didn't sing that note right. I missed that note. Oh, I didn't do that song. Oh, I didn't interact with the crowd that way. When I stopped thinking like that and started thinking about, do you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to sing a song about the megabus. Do you know what? That's when actually I think my performance got a lot better. I think it's important to not take yourself super seriously.
Because I think there's like sort of there's kind of like a beauty in sort of like being kind of natural. You know what I mean? Kind of being like this is
Yeah,
the real me. You're not just
definitely.
trying to hit markers. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna sing a song about
100%.
the megabus. If you don't like it, you don't like my stuff. That just kind of is what it
Definitely.
is.
Yeah, also, yeah, definitely. I think I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a big time name, but I think sometimes I see big shows and I think they've gone a little bit robotic with it. Like it's become their. It seems like it's just become a routine to them performing, and I've never operated on that. I've never been at that level. So sometimes maybe it is to them, but I love trying to keep that personal like connection in my performance. Like I would never want it to just be like, right, I'm playing the set list. I don't write a set list for that reason. I just think, right, we'll improvise on the spot.
Wow,
Because
you don't even write a set list. That's crazy.
no,
Oh my
no,
God.
but sometimes it does trip me up.
You start singing the wrong lyrics and you're like, no, I meant that one. Hang on a minute.
Because then I'm on the stage and I'm like, oh damn, I forgot to do that song. Oh well.
personability in music is so important, and like because
Definitely.
obviously music's about raw and your emotions and stuff like that and people's
Hmm.
experiences and stuff. Sort of like for you and stuff like that as well, it must be sort of important, like we kind of already covered it, but it must be important to have that kind of, you know what I mean, that personability with people that like your music and stuff like that, and connecting with the crowd when you're performing and all that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially because a lot of my songs are quite personal, I think it's important to have that connection 100%. Like my whole thing with Generation Feral is like I write about big world issues and big problems in the UK and things that affect all of us. And then I bring it really small and write about how it affects myself and how it affects my personal emotions. So there's that contrast of like, you hear all this stuff on the news, but then here's how it affects me in my life. So I think it's, yeah, I have to have that person. Like I don't know, my music's vulnerable basically at the end of the day. And I think like sometimes I do get really anxious about sharing it because it's like, oh God, like it's kind of like I'm just telling everybody, yeah, this is how I feel. I'm a bit messed up in the head, but it's a nice time. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of have to have that personal connection because it is a personal thing. It's a personal thing. You're writing down your literal thoughts and feelings, you
Mm.
know? So yeah.
And I think that's just like the magic of music and stuff. As someone who I haven't been into music too long and stuff like that, and sort of
Mm.
I knew the power of music, but I think as I've delved more, especially into indie stuff, when I've sort of dove more and more
Mm.
into that world, like I really feel the power of music. Like I love video games and gaming, and I thought that was my
Yeah.
thing. But as I've got older,
Yeah.
I've realized music, I think to me, is the best artistic medium, and I don't think that
Mm.
can kind of be contested. And I feel like when you
Mm.
like seeing live stuff, you can relate and stuff like that. Seeing live stuff, it's there's just something magical about music, and
Definitely.
like yeah, like so what would be sort of like some of the best experience you've had live, even maybe performing or watching gigs and all that?
Oh my God, what a question. See, I love me. I absolutely love music. I'm a believer that sometimes you're going through stuff in your life and you can't talk about it, but listening to music like somehow relates to absolutely everything you're going through. But yeah, probably best experience I've probably had watching somebody is I saw Damien Rice, um, who's like a sad guitar man from Ireland. Um, when I was like 16, you know, when you have your awkward 16-year-old music phase where you're into some weird stuff. I was I was massively obsessed with Damien Rice, and he's the one person who I've remained as obsessed with since I was 16. Um, and I'm a solo artist, and I've had loads of people tell me over the years to get a band, and it would be something I'm open to down the line. Um, but it's hard to organise right now while I'm between two places. But seeing him perform solo with a guitar and hold the room, like, oh my God, him and a guitar and a couple of pedals in Hammersmith Apollo, in a sold out Hammersmith Apollo, and everybody was like in his hand. It was incredible. Like, I was crying. He started playing, and I just cried because because he's a brilliant songwriter, and what I love about him is that he's got a very imperfect voice. It's a very like he carries emotion in his voice very well. He literally sounds like he's in pain, but I think that works so well for his music. So yeah, that's probably the best gig I've ever been to. I saw him last year with my dad, and yeah, that was amazing. Um, best live experience I've had, like me personally playing. Um, I played. There's a venue back home called the Arts Centre, and Blur played there the other day, not that long ago, because Blur are from Colchester, obviously. And it's kind of like all the local people want to play in the Arts Centre. Like everybody wants to play in the Arts Centre. Um, and yeah, playing in there was really really fun in terms of like having a big crowd. But I think, oh, what's my favourite gig? I don't know. That's a hard question. I've got a favourite venue, but I don't know. That is hard. I have to think about it. I'd have to think about it.
It's kind of I can understand how it is a hard one though, because like like, especially because obviously we could sort of tell whatever the audience or myself could tell you're quite sort of a fun sort of like person, whatever. So I can imagine every gig is like its own fun experience and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, definitely. The one of the lowlights was when no, it's not a lowlight, but I played in Wales and a Welsh man came up to me at the end and he kind of looked me in the face and like patted me on the shoulder very seriously, very concerned, and goes, it was good, but it was very dark. And I was like, do you know what? I think that's a compliment, but thank you. But I could tell he was quite concerned. I don't think my music's very dark. I don't know. He was maybe a bit drunk, but it was just funny.
I would love to show him
That's
screamo music and just see his
in
brain
it,
just melt.
in it, in it. That I'm gonna put that in my new little bio now. It was good, but it was very dark.
Just like man, just that's what you need to have on the poster in terms of your reviews. Good but a bit
Yeah,
dark. Man from the pub that
yeah,
one time.
yeah. But he was aggressively Welsh as well, which just made the whole thing funnier. um, it's such a backhanded compliment.
But yeah, we've looked at the present, we've looked at the past and now, and so we speak about the future. We sort of touched on it a little. What are your future plans and stuff for the Generation Feral project?
So, one thing I really want to do this year, and hopefully I'm doing it, is I want to make some merch. We're getting that ball rolling. But yeah, the main thing I'd like to do this year is probably the second EP. I feel like that's the goal. Second EP. My goal this year is second EP and hopefully get some festivals. That's like my two goals. Um, but the second EP I want to be a completely from scratch EP. Whereas the first one, I'd written some of those songs over like probably 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. I want to start completely from scratch. I'm not putting any old songs on it, and I want it to be a concept EP all around a theme or a subject. I'm yet to really have that theme or subject strike me, but I want all the songs to link together. I've been listening to loads of hip hop recently. I love Kendrick Lamar. I've really got into Kendrick Lamar, and it's like the classic hip hop album of the 2010s. But on one of his albums, Butterfly, um, he does this thing where basically at the end of the song he reads this poem, and as each song goes on, the poem gets longer, and each line of the poem relates to the next song. And that's one thing I love about hip hop, how it's not just singles and an album, it's a whole piece of work as the album, and you have to listen to it in order. And like, yeah, so I'd love to take some of that. I mean, that's very ambitious for me to be like, oh, I want to be Kendrick Lamar, but obviously I'm not a rap artist, but I love the idea that the album flows into each other and it tells a story over the course of like, I don't know, 4, 5 songs. Like that's what I'm really into right now. And it's all on a theme. So I'm looking to do something like that, but I'm yet to decide what the theme is about. We'll see.
Have you thought maybe sort of in the future an album at some point, or are you more just like I'm just going to do EPs and then an album might come eventually? Is that on your mind? You'd want to do an album one day?
At the moment, I feel like I'm doing my EPs. If I'm making an album, I am a perfectionist. I am going to want that to be really good. I have a double life. I study eyes at uni, so I'm studying to be an optician, and I'm doing music on the side. And music is my passion, like 100%. It's my Hannah Montana moment. I'm a weird eye lady by day and a little rock star by night. But I'd want to have the time to be fully dedicated to doing an album. And right now, I don't have that time. I wouldn't just want to, uh, I want to be able to put whole effort into it. Right now, I feel like I'm still figuring out EPs. I'm still figuring out my writing style. I'm still figuring out so much what my sound is, like trying to more hone that. So yeah, that's down the line. Not this year, I don't think, but maybe later. But yeah, that would be
Yeah.
exciting, but
Um,
also scary.
it's quite bad though because I tell myself I need to calm down with sort of buying merch stuff, but I can't stop. I just love
Yeah,
like representing the bands I like and all that. It's why I like this podcast. I like putting
definitely.
out there like, oh, here's who I like and all that.
It's a great conversation starter as well when you like, I don't know. I love it when I see people wearing a shirt of the band I like. I'm like, oh, hello. I always go, nice shirt.
We've sort of gone through and stuff like that. A lot of good stuff there and stuff. I've made bad jokes as per usual, and but the thing I always like to do with every episode, the wrap up question and stuff. What would you say is the
hmm
most like if you were to give someone a piece of advice, what would be the most important piece of advice like you'd give them?
What about life?
Anything, just anything, just what do you feel
Oh
most important
wow.
piece of
Okay.
advice?
Don't come to me for life advice. Okay. What my advice be? Have a laugh. Do you know what? The amount of times I have done the most questionable things in my life, but I've just been like, oh, it'll be a laugh. That's the vibe. I've done, I went to Australia on my own during COVID, when I was 19 with basically no money. And I was just like, you know what? It'll be a laugh. It was right before COVID kicked off. And I did get stranded in the airport in Australia. But you know what? It was a great story. Story for the grandkids. So do things for a laugh. Try not to, you know, like there's like I think people get so comfortable sometimes. They get so comfortable in not breaking society's little rules. But I think sometimes, do you know what? You just have to have a laugh. As long as it's not nothing illegal, nothing illegal. But but I think people end up very stuck in their comfort zones. And I'm a big believer in pushing yourself out of your comfort zone here and there safely, because I think that's where life is best sometimes, at the edge of your comfort zone. So yeah, have a laugh.
And that
Don't
is
come to me
brilliant.
for life
And
advice.
that's like that's to be honest, like it's really good, and that's like a message I really support, and sort of that's what I like to do with this, even with this whole show, this podcast. It's
Yeah,
I
definitely.
ask serious questions, but we're having a laugh, we're having a joke around and stuff, and you got to be light-hearted, didn't you? You know what I mean? You got to be a bit light-hearted.
Definitely. 100%. And I'm so for people chasing the things they love. Like, it's so good to see, like, honestly, I went to see Little Sims recently, another artist that I absolutely love. And she got on stage and was like, if there is something in you that you feel that you must do in this life, no matter what it is, then you need to do it. And I think that stayed with me. Like, it's such a motivator for my music. And I think I'm so, like, imagine you live your whole life and you just don't ever like give the thing that you've kind of always wanted to do a go, like just because you've got fear of embarrassment. I just think, do you know what? Just go for it. We're all gonna be eaten by worms one day. Do you know? Like just go for it. Be yourself. Let down your own personal standards and just don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. But yeah.
Yeah, that is brilliant, and like it is something and stuff that I think people would love to hear as well, because I think sometimes people also need to hear that, because I see so many people and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like they have all these ideas and you hear them talk about it, whatever, and I'm like, well, go for it then if that's what you want to do. Like,
Yeah,
stop putting
for real.
barriers in the way, stop putting the building blocks in. So I completely support that, and sadly though, and stuff. That signifies the end of another fantastic episode. And so, anything you want to shout out before we go?
Anything I want to shout out? Oh, can I shout? What should I shout out? I might shout out some cool people if that's okay.
That's good, yeah.
Um, you definitely need to listen to, in terms of Welsh artists, to listen to a band called Monet. They're so brilliant for like your punk, math, rock, hard fix. They're amazing. In terms of Essex artists, Bridget, I absolutely love Bridget. She's amazing. She's like, oh, she's my other female fronted queen back home. She's great. Grunge princess, amazing music. And a band called Ecto Peach back home, who are more from Ipswich Way, but definitely catch them if you're around Colchester. Matt, the guitarist, has like 50 pedals it's the kind of music where you're just like, I have no idea what this is, but it's making my brain feel nice. So definitely check XO Peach out. They're my free shout outs for music. But yeah, local artists. Yeah, that's what I'd like to shout out.
Yeah, and also and stuff, check out and stuff, Generation Feral's EP. Check out the EP. Life Looks Best Sideways. It's so good and stuff. And check out all of the other stuff, and maybe buy, like I said, buy some merch when it comes out, maybe, and so buy some other stuff.
Yeah,
check out
please.
the next EP. And yeah, it's been a fantastic episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you guys next time. Peace out.